Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I'm so happy to be here. If you are listening live or to a replay or an archive, I want to welcome you. I want to let you know, as usual, we are over in the chat room, and you can find that by heading over to 12radio.com. Click on the chat button, and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. I want to let you know that I'm live streaming this event from Facebook and YouTube. So if you'd rather watch than listen, and I have a lot to show you today, so if I were you, I would head over to look for Katie Weaver Domestic Mystic on YouTube or on Facebook, and you'll find me there. Is streaming away. I also put a link to this stream in the chat room under my banner, so you can find it there as well. Oh, that's a mouthful. Hello, how are you guys? How'd you do with that new moon? I know some people found it a little bleak. That's okay. Is my hair back because it's hot? No, it's just, I don't know what it's doing. I put some heavier like spray and conditioner in it this morning, and now I don't know what it's doing. It's not, I don't know. I can't say. I don't know. My hair is really bearing the brunt of, I'm not sure what right now, but maybe it's just time for a trim. Who knows? Um, I have so much to share and talk to you guys about because, well, first of all, over the weekend, I went with my sisters to Salt Lake City for a very quick girls trip. This was actually a fulfillment of a Christmas present that I bought for my sister Kara, and then Christy bought for her wife, Rhonda. And Kara, because she has loved the Indigo Girls since we were in high school, and Rhonda, because she has loved Melissa Etheridge just as long. So we went to a Melissa Etheridge Indigo Girls concert. It was insanely hot in Salt Lake. It was an outdoor venue. Getting through the Indigo Girls was frankly tough. Kara and I finally walked down to the pit where you buy drinks and stuff like that and found a shady bench that we spent quite a bit of that time in because it was too much. But then the sun dipped down behind the trees and the Melissa Etheridge part of the concert was amazing and rockin'. So sorry, Indigo Girls, it was just too hot. But Melissa Etheridge was fantastic. So a couple of pictures. There's Kara and I in our spot. And Christy and Rhonda as well. So it was really fun. It was a very quick trip. We were right down and back. But we're going back in August for a Cyndi Lauper concert, which is what Christy had purchased for Kara and I for our birthdays. So yeah, just lots of fun stuff. Trying to live it up a little bit, get through the summer with actually having some fun and leaving the house. I know. Strange concept, right? But it was great. We had a really good time. And it's not as hot here. It's hot, but it's not as hot here as it was in Salt Lake. I'm really, really hoping that it cools down a little bit in August, which is probably, wishful thinking because it is Utah. And I refuse to do any fairs, any events in July or August because it's too hot for me. So instead we're going to two concerts in the heat. Crazy. However, outdoor venues, outdoor concerts are so much fun when the heat isn't too imposing. So here's hoping. Sherry, your first concert was Cyndi Lauper. I love it. My first concert was the Jets. Do you guys remember the Jets? Long time ago, 40 years ago probably. They were like a brother-sister band, sort of like the Jacksons, only the Jets, I believe, were Islanders. They were Pacific Islanders, and they were Mormons. And so Mormons loved them. And they would come and perform at Rick's College. And that was my first concert. Very exciting. I had a big kiln opening this morning that I want to share with you, but I also was out yesterday at the big chicken coop. So this is not all of Scott's chickens because, as you remember, Scott had secret blue chickens in the garage. So they're not in this video because they're too little to go out here yet until these the big white roosters find a new home because they are not staying here. Kev's was Rush. But I took a little bit of footage, so please don't mind too much the highway noise, hopefully. I was going to take the sound off, but then I'm like, but then you can't ever hear any of the sounds they're making. Maybe you can't anyway, but here's a little peek of the big chicken coop. You can see the guineas and those big jerks. The guineas are my favorite, quite obviously. So we hatched some of those chicks and we purchased some of those chicks. But they have emerged with 7 roosters, and we will keep 1 rooster because you can't have that many roosters in your flock without just constant fighting. And they're already fighting a lot, and it's just not going to happen. They're also super mean to the hens. They run up to the guineas and peck them on the head, and the guineas go, "Mah!" It's terrible. So, working on finding a home to relocate the roosters so that we can just, send them on to their next endeavor and just have the hens because that's what we need. But anyway, they are sure happy in their big run now. That's just a small portion of it, but they actually have a really good sized space. And the inside of the barn that they have is a good sized space too. So they'll have lots and lots of room to do all their chicken things. Oh yeah, they love their pool like the pigs do. They're constantly in and out of it and splashing around in it, and you really have to rinse it out good every few days because they muff it up pretty good. But yeah, they gotta have it, right? Yeah. Cherry has suncatcher beads on chicken wire in a frame her sister made her. Oh, how cute. Well, that's fun too. Chicken wire is multifaceted. I have 2 big life-sized ghosts that we made out of chicken wire a few years ago. And at Halloween, we just put them in a dark corner in our yard with a little black light spotlight on them. And you just almost can't tell what you're looking at, enough that it's ethereal and ghostly. It's a trick of your eyes. They are so cool. So, hey, I'm all for chicken wire being used for anything at all. I wanted to show you some things from the kiln. Do I worry at all about the dogs? Oh, tracking through chicken poop if the birds are allowed to run around in the yard. They're not allowed to run around in the yard. No. I would. Yeah, 'cause they're gross. I already know what they do with pig shit. So, yeah, no. But no. The chickens aren't loose. I don't know that the dogs would hurt them. We've had a couple of chickens get free for various reasons. The littler chicken run is in my backyard. This is out in the pasture where the dogs and the pigs don't have access anyway, unless we were to be out there for some reason. But in my backyard is my littler run where the little blue chickens are. And the pigs love them. They hang out with them all the time. A lot of times you'll go out there and the pigs are laying right up against the chicken wire, and the chickens are right on the other side of it, and they're all kind of cuddled up together. It's really sweet. But have dug them out twice now. So this dirt around them is kind of soft. And pigs and soft dirt, they're out there rooting and screwing around. So yes, we've had chicks out twice in the backyard. The dogs have never hurt them. I hope they wouldn't, but You can't say that they won't. You can't assume that they won't because they just as likely will. But at any rate, I don't know on that. So yeah, they don't have free access to the yard though. Yep. I would be a nervous wreck all the time about the dogs possibly hurting them or bringing them in the house, something awful happening. Yeah. No, no, no. Okay, some stuff from the kiln. So I had showed you a kiln opening a couple of weeks ago, and there was this big, beautiful plate with orange flowers on it. You may or may not actually remember that, but there was. And unfortunately, in the second firing of that plate, it shattered. And that's unfortunately that's just the way of it. Like these things just happen that you may not ever know why. It probably either was heated up too fast or it was too close to a heating element or it cooled too slow hell there could be a million reasons. So I don't know why it happened. But there was so much work into all of those flowers that I just couldn't bear to throw it away. So I cut it up and I cut most of the flowers off as best I could. And I made two new pieces. I can't decide if I love these or if they're kind of weird. I might fire them one more time and see if I can soften the edges a little bit more. But I made two things. This is just going to be slumped into a little dish. So it'll be a little dish that could be used as a soap dish or, a little trinket dish or whatever. So, I mean, you can see the extra glass around it, but maybe it just gives it character. I don't know. These might just be things that I keep in my own collection, but by God, I saved them. It was a lot of glass and a lot of work. You know, hate to see it go away. But then I put this larger plate together. So this one will actually be slumped on what's called a wave mold that literally is a wave. So that once it's slumped, then it's freestanding. So it'll be like a tabletop suncatcher type thing. So again, you can see all the squares around where the glass was. And see, I think maybe I'll try running it through the kiln one more time a little bit hotter to see if I can just take those edges off a little bit more. But I don't know. I don't hate it. I like that it's, saved some things. So I don't know. What do you think? Is this weird or is it okay? Again, it might just go in my own collection because of the nature of it. But I'm glad I saved the essence of it anyhow. So there's that. In fact, I was thinking, my gosh, if this breaks in the kiln, then I'm just going to have to assume that this is, I don't know, cursed, haunted, history for sure. But no, it worked out just fine. And then I made some more voodoo dolls because those first voodoos I made, one of them sold like the first day. So I decided to put a collection of them together. So a little yellow voodoo. And these guys all managed to keep their eyes on straight. So that's probably good. This cute little blue guy. Isn't he cute? I'm in love. I like how his heart ended up kind of sideways. They're supposed to be, a little bit goofy and homeady looking, and they are. And then this one might be my favorite. Isn't that glass cool? I just think he is pretty awesome. So I can't decide. The one that sold so fast, she asked if I would mount him on a plant stake. And I thought these would be kind of cute little plant stakes. They're kind of heavy for it, but I mean, I have some bigger, heavier stakes though that I could mount them on. So I don't know if I should do plant stakes out of all of them, drill them and just, put a jump ring on them so they can be hung. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I really like them. Try and get him out of the glare so you can really see him. Anyway, so cute. So do you think no one would know that they came from a disaster? Maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they just assumed that was just the style of what I was going for. Maybe. I made another set of bookends of the butterflies in a little bit different glass. So these are going to be, I think, a little harder to see this way, but I am in love with them. They have these pretty stones at the top, and this glass is just really pretty. So Scott will now take these and mount them in wood so that they can be a set of bookends for somebody's bookshelf. But so in comparison, I'd already made one set of these a little bit different. So I'll show you those two. I don't have enough room in here for all this glass. What am I thinking? I'll show you the difference. So this one is the one I made before. And I love these a lot. But I thought it would be fun to use the same glass I used on the outside of this one on the body, just on the insides of this one. This is really light pink glass that this one is fused to. So anyway, two different sets, a little bit different look, but I really like them both. I hope these like sell and do well. I would love to make more bookends. They are fun. And I just think they're cool. I love the way they turn out. And then one more set of bookends. These are quite different, but I really, really like the way they turned out as well. I'm hold them up correctly. It's a moon. And they're fired with some special paint put in between the glass that bubbles up. So I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, you can. You can see how they're full of all these colored bubbles. And then, of course, I put a design on them and fuse that to it as well. So anyway, these two will go into some kind of a wooden stand and be made into a set of book molds, or book ends, not book molds. But these also have, I haven't drilled them yet, so I'll drill the very tip, and then I have these big fancy stars that I made that are going to hang from them on a little chain. So I'm super excited. I cannot wait. Well, the photos on Etsy show how the wings are attached to the wood. I was wondering how the glass alone could keep the books in place. Yeah, yeah, the wings will be attached to the wood. So the wings won't touch the glass. It'll be the frame of the wood. So the wings just they sit in grooves. They slide down in grooves onto the wood piece, and then they get glued in either with epoxy or with E6000. So yeah, they're super secure, and no, they won't. They can totally do it because the wings don't actually support anything. They just sit in there to look pretty. That's their whole job. Oh gosh. Okay, so anyway, that's what I've been up to, working on all kinds of fun stuff. But there's more because I've been working on a project designing ceramic molds for a series of goddess effigies that I want to make. And mine are more geared towards, let's call it the Goddess of Willendorf style. That's what we're going to talk about today. Because the Goddess of Willendorf, years ago, many years ago, I took a class called Cakes for the Queen of Heaven. And it was a class that is, the whole curriculum is about ancient goddesses and beliefs around them, the finding and excavation of them, and also just support of all women. And that class was so meaningful for me. It was taught by some lovely crones that I adore and am still friends with to this day. But when I saw the Goddess of Willendorf, I discovered that she's me. Now, in all of our imagery of goddesses, what do they look like? They're young, they're tall, they're thin, they're willowy, they're blonde, they're sexy, right? Is it real? Probably not. But when I discovered the Goddess of Willendorf, I found myself. And I think a lot of women did too. So I've always thought about her, and not just her, but there have been many Venuses, and I should say that correctly. She's known as the Venus of Willendorf, not the goddess, the Venus of Willendorf, but she's a goddess symbolic figure, and we're going to talk all about her today. But I wanted to share a few other effigies with you because, and what has happened is that as archaeologists have found different goddess effigies, many of them have been named the Venus of wherever they were found. So, Venus of Willendorf obviously was found near a place called Willendorf, Austria. Then you have the Venus of Hohlfels, and she's dated Germany 35,000 BCE. The Venus of Gallenberg, Austria 30,000 BCE. The Venus of Dolny Vestonici in the Czech Republic 28,000 BCE. The Venus of Lespuge, France 26,000 BCE. Then, of course, there in the middle, the Venus of Willendorf, Austria 24,000 BCE. And then the Venus of Moravani, Slovakia, 23,000 BCE. And then the Venus of, boy, I'm going to struggle with that. Brasenopoi, France, 22,000 BCE. Then the Venus of, I should have practiced these. Yulivanich, Russia, 16,000 BCE, and the Venus of Montrose, Switzerland, 11,000 BCE. It's fascinating to me that they're similar in various ways. We have the roundness, we have the fullness, we have a much more realistic effigy of the female body. And I've been fascinated by this and in love with these goddesses for a really long time. So I thought today would be a fun day to talk about the Venus of Willendorf. So I called the magazine today the She Is You edition because when it comes to talking about goddesses, particularly for women and for men that have an interest in the divine feminine within themselves, she is you. You are her. So let's talk about her. She was found in 1908 near the quiet village of Willendorf in Austria in the Wachau Valley. She's a tiny little limestone figure dug out of the earth. She's barely 4 inches tall, and as we know, is dated to nearly 25,000 to 30,000 years ago. She's round, she's faceless, but it's obvious that she means something and meant something to whoever put her there or lost her there. So, behind the science of her, this is what's wild. She is carved out of limestone. And the kind of limestone that she comes from, they don't have anything like that in Austria. That stone doesn't occur there. In fact, the closest they could track that stone to, and the stone where they believe she did come from, is in northern Italy, which would have been 500 miles away, which is pretty freaking fascinating. So we don't know how she got there. Were these just traveling people, ancient trade routes? Was this a migration and someone was carrying her? We'll never know. But for whatever reason, this effigy was carved, or at least harvested, in the north of France, and then she ended up clear out in Willendorf, Austria. 500 miles is a long way on foot. Perhaps it was by sea, at least some of it. We don't know. We'll never know. but it's really fascinating to consider. The other interesting thing is that she was dusted with red ochre. This is a naturally occurring pigment that's rich in iron oxides. So the sandstone was covered with the ochre. Uh, at that time, ochre would have been considered an association with life, blood, birth, death, and transformation. This is also a lot of the red that you see on rocks, like prehistoric paintings and caves and stuff like that, is out of the same kind of substance. So that was placed on her for a reason. The sandstone that she hails from isn't red. It doesn't have that look. That was a purposeful act for her to be covered with that. She's been known as she who creates. So scholars believe that she would have symbolized fertility, creation, and feminine power. Her wide hips, full breasts, and round belly suggest not just vanity but survival. You have to remember in this day and age, childbirth was even more perilous than it is now, and food was always a bit uncertain. So her form, being thick as she was, speaks of abundance. Where she has no face, many people have found their own face in her. She's faceless because she's every woman. She has the hips wide enough to birth the world, as do many of the other effigies that we've seen. In goddess-based spirituality today, because a lot of people, that do partake in goddess worship or goddess spirituality, uh, she's known as a Paleolithic mother goddess. And of course she is. She looks like the mother. A sacred feminine archetype representing the earth, the womb, and the wild intelligence of nature. So, how does she fit into spiritual connotations now? She, as you know, has been reclaimed as a powerful symbol of the divine feminine. She resonates deeply with those exploring goddess spirituality, earth based traditions, and womb wisdom. Her energy aligns with the root and sacral, especially around themes of grounding, creation, sensuality, and self acceptance. She's used in rituals for fertility and conception, self love, and radical body acceptance, reclaiming feminine wisdom and intuitive power, connecting to the earth and ancestral lineages, birthing creative projects, or healing cycles. If you want to connect to her, creating or meditating with her can be kind of a spiritual practice, a powerful spiritual practice. You can purchase or craft your own Venus-ish kind of effigy. A lot of people have just remade her out of clay or other things over the years, because of course you're never going to get your hands on her, but that's okay. Craft your own Venus statue or buy one. You can find them on the internet everywhere. Infuse them with intention, prayer, and deep connection to your line of female ancestors. The Venus of Willendorf reminds us that there's no set way, no one way to be beautiful, and that life force is messy, wild, and sacred. So I put together a ritual. We're connecting to the Venus of Willendorf. If you want to do so, you're going to need a figure or an image of the Venus of Willendorf, or you can draw her yourself, whatever. A red candle, symbolizing life force and sacred blood. Red ochre or clay is optional but powerful if you can get a hold of it. A small stone or piece of natural rock. And of course, a quiet place to do your work. So for the ritual itself, you want to prepare your space. So clear your space with smoke or with sound or with salt, you decide. Or with energy. Honestly, if you choose to just do it that way, that's fine too. Then set your Venus figure in front of you with the candle beside her. If you really want to get crazy, you can buy Venus of Willendorf candles and do all of that in one. I've seen quite a few of them over the years. So if you're using red clay or ochre, just smear a little on your hands, your forehead, your heart as a mark of your devotion. Ground and breathe. You're going to sit comfortably and place your stone in your palms or on your womb area. Close your eyes and take slow, deep breaths, envisioning roots growing from your body into the earth. And as you do that, go ahead and light your candle. As you light the candle, say or think, Venus of stone, ancient and wise, mother of birth, of blood, of skies, I call to you across the years, join me now and calm my fears. Then hold the stone or touch the earth. Envision the figure or the effigy of Venus glowing red, rising from the land like a goddess of old. Allow yourself to feel her presence in your womb, your belly, your breath. Let her teach you. Sit with her for a while. Stay in meditation for 10 or so minutes. You may find yourself feeling a warmth, a memory, or even a message, or maybe you'll just feel peace. You may feel emotional and feel a release that makes you want to cry, or laugh, or smile. It's all up to you. Do it your way. However you feel is a gift. When you're done, you may decide to journal or draw or talk about your experience, or maybe you won't, but that's up to you. To close out the ritual, blow out the candle and say, Lady of life, of stone and flame, I honor your strength and sacred name. May I walk the path with grace, in your rhythm, in your pace. Then carry your stone with you as a charm of protection, abundance, and creative power. When you do work like that, and you have something like a stone or some other, like a necklace or a tool or something like that you're using with it, you are creating a sacred item. And then that object is essentially charged with or imbued with the ceremony that you did. And then you have that to hold on to, which I think is pretty cool. So however you choose to work with the Venus of Willendorf, just remember, you are ancient, you are powerful, and you are sacred, just like she is. Okay. Refeminist History with Kelly this week is wrapping up the code breakers and quiet heroes that she's been reporting on for the last few weeks. Really good article, a lot of great thoughts about the women that had to do with World War II and the role that they played, and how most of us have never heard this before. How women were the unsung heroes that got very little attention, got very little credit for the work that they did. and still don't. So thank you, Kelly, for at least bringing what they do to the forefront. All right, in my tip this week, I'm talking to a lot of you guys that have been feeling kind of discouraged, feeling kind of down, looking for ways to get your chin up. And if that's the case for you, buy some flowers or cut a few and bring them in. It's crazy how much flowers on the table or the counter or your nightstand can brighten up your mood and just make you feel better. Or bring a potted plant or potted flowers into the house and let them stay in there for a while and just help to brighten you up. Also, consider diffusing citrus essential oils. Citrus elevates emotional and spiritual energy. So, grapefruit, bergamot, orange, lemon, a blend of those, blood orange, mandarin orange. There's a lot of different orange oils out there, but bergamot is my personal favorite. But if I was going to do a blend, I'd probably do bergamot, lime, and grapefruit because I love them all. But diffusing citrus oils or even smelling citrus oils is a really good way to elevate your energy. So if you need a pick-me-up, consider that. And the reason I always say to use bergamot in whatever blend you use, besides the fact that it's my favorite, is that bergamot is a mood stabilizer. So consider like the grapefruit and lime oil giving you a boost, and then the bergamot oil helping you to stabilize with that. We'll take it. Christy's energy exercise this week is the Divine Spark. Lots of crime over at True Crime Squad. It has finally happened. Lori Vallow Daybell has been wrapped up. Sentenced now in Arizona. Now she'll be extradited back to Idaho where she'll serve her 7 life terms. So she's finally going to fall into the obscurity that she deserves to be in. So hallelujah, Lori. Bye-bye. Lots of meditations over at Planet Meditation. These are just really good ones. This is music that you could easily just have in the background of whatever you're doing, just to help with your mood, with your energy, or good seated meditation music as well. And there you go. So that is Luminous this week. So I hope that you found some gems in there that help you out. Lots of good stuff. Lots of really powerful stuff. I'm always curious to know, what is your experience with ancient goddesses? I was stunned to learn about the goddess of Willendorf the first time that I learned about her. I had no idea. I'd never heard of that spirituality or that effigy before. I'd certainly never seen her. Well, I mean, that's not what you learned in Mormonism. We learned in Mormonism that Heavenly Father does have a wife, but we don't talk about her because that's disrespectful. I always thought that was weird. Why is that disrespectful? The answer was that people take God's name in vain, and if they knew his wife's name, they would super duper take her name in vain, and he didn't want that. So we didn't know her name, and we weren't supposed to talk about her in case people wanted to take her name in vain. What a load of nonsense, right? Now I think about that and I'm like, what a bunch of bullshit. That's ridiculous. That is, again, stripping power away from women, from motherhood, from the ability to be able to connect to a female deity versus just the male. Yeah. Okay, Sherry had never heard of the goddess of Willendorf, neither had Sid. Interesting. Yes, so very patriarchy dominated, and there's a lot of goddess history. You know, at the time of when Jesus would have walked the earth, goddess worship would have been much more likely to be the religion of the day. And with the onset of Christianity, of course, Many wars were fought about that, and old religions transitioned to the new religion, mostly out of self preservation because of those believers who wanted everyone to believe what they believed. But it would have been more divine feminine, more goddess driven in that era. There is a book called uh, The Moon Under Her Feet. I've talked about this book before. It's been a while though. But if you're curious about reading something that wakes up a goddessy part of you, that helps you to see a little bit more of yourself, I highly recommend this book. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Probably my favorite book of all time. I'm just looking it up real quick so I can show you a link. I think it may be out of stock or out of print. Nope, you can still get it on Amazon. I'm going to share a link for you. The Moon Under Her Feet is a fictional work, but Callista Kinsler, the lady who wrote it, was a women's studies professor at Berkeley. And Callista Kinsler believed what she wrote, that this book, oh wow, well, that's a really long link, you guys. I don't even know if you can click on that. But it is The Moon Under Her Feet, and the title or the author's name is Callista Kinsler. Callista Kinsler. Anyway, the annotations in this book make me feel like, my God, it's so well written out. But while it is fiction, this is pretty much how things would have been at the planet on that time. And it's kind of a comparison of Isis and Osiris uh, to Mary and Jesus. It also gives you a pretty good look into what kind of rights women did or didn't have at the time. This is what it looks like. So I highly recommend this book if you are curious about diving in. It is a fictional story about Mary Magdalene. And a pretty good look into what it may have been like for women and girls to be uh, volunteered into or offered into service of a goddess temple, because lots of those things went on. So anyway, book recommendation from me. And I know some of you guys, you've heard this from me lots of times, but that's a super good book. So go read it and things. Oh gosh. Okay. Let me just jump into the other chat room really quick. I don't know that we'll make it a whole hour today, and that's okay. But those are the things that I really wanted to bring to you today, because it's what's in my heart. And I think, perhaps what I'm going to do is take this list here and we'll deep dive some of the other Venuses and talk about them in the weeks to come, and continue to work on more awareness around goddesses and goddess worship from time immemorial on our globe, and just work on that more and talk about it more. So, my friends, that's what I've got. I want to remind you that I am a professional psychic advisor over at one2listen.com. I want you to know that I'm there every single day. So if you come over and you need a reading or some energy work or a swift kick or some animal communication, some support, an opinion, somebody to help you make a decision, some mediumship, I'm there. And I am absolutely always there to help you. Sometimes people call me and they say, this is kind of silly, but no, it's not. You can bring me anything. You don't have to be embarrassed to talk to me or to reveal something about your life that maybe you don't feel good about or whatever. I am not judging you. If it's important to you, it's important to me. That's my philosophy. That's the way it works for me in working with clients, and I want you to be comfortable in that. So you can do an email reading, you can do a direct call, you can do a chat where we is like a message room where we just chat back and forth, whatever works for you. But if there's anything I can do to help you and support you, I am here for that, always. Alrighty, well, I'm going to go. So, thank you so much for being here. Again, we'll keep looking at that Venus list and see who else we want to talk about and what the spirituality of their world would have been like and keep going. So, thanks for being here, you guys. I appreciate you so much. This has been yet another edition of the Katie Weaver Show here on 1-2 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.